This is Goku for Someone, and I'm here with...
Torreygnr1. Hey, guys.
And we're here to talk about a Spider-Man live-action TV show. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What do we think? Why isn't it happening? Should it happen? And what are our general thoughts about it? So, let's have you begin, Tori.
I don't know. I think it might be able to work. It really depends on what kind of storytelling approach they're going to take with the show. I have a feeling if they were going to do a live-action TV show, it would probably be based on his high school days, just like most of the other adaptations that have been coming out recently, like the new movie and Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. I think it'd probably work the best in that kind of vein. And what were you going to say? Sorry.
You mentioned the whole high school thing, and while preparing for this video, I did think about something. You don't see a lot of high school drama movies, but you see a lot of high school drama TV shows.
Yeah.
And I think that shows, like, most high school movies are comedies.
Mm-hmm.
And most high school TV shows are dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that shows that different mediums support different things. Because obviously, continuously coming up with new jokes are difficult, so movies are easier to do.
Yeah.
And telling a compelling drama in 2 hours isn't always that easy.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just wanted to bring up that point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's why I figured why they would go in that direction. Like you mentioned, how there's a lot of high school dramas on TV right now. I think that would really fit in well with the whole idea of if you said before we started recording, if this were to go on ABC Family, which it probably would considering it's Disney's channel, I think that would make it fit kind of well on that network. They do teen stuff like that, don't they? Like teen drama stuff?
Do you watch that channel?
No, I don't get to watch too much TV.
Well, a while back they had a show called Kyle XY.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I've heard of it.
About it. Basically the premise is basically a kid that's unconscious in the woods ends up stumbling upon. He ends up going to a juvenile facility, and he basically this kid has no idea of anything. Like, he doesn't know how to use the restroom. He doesn't know how to eat. And the show is about basically developing this character and who is he, and it does deal with high school. It doesn't really deal with high school. They never actually go to high school. Like, the school is in it, but they never actually go there. I don't think there really is a school in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But it is definitely teenagers. He's 16 in the show, but it also deals with superpowers. Okay,
so then it sounds like it might, it'd definitely be something that they put on there.
And more recently, they had something that got canceled, unfortunately, called The 9 Lives of Chloe King, which was basically about a high school student who is killed, and then she's resurrected, and she finds out that she's not human. She's actually from a race of cat people, and she's basically like a prophesized person. And that's really superhero, and that's got a lot of similar things to Spider-Man in some regards, because cat powers are similar to spider powers in some regards.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like it would definitely fit on that network then.
Oh no, it would absolutely fit on that network. They don't do a lot, but they do a lot of teen stuff. Like, most of their programs are based around teens or based around young adults.
Yeah, and I think since Marvel has its own television subsidiary now, if they were to develop the show, which they probably would, I think they'd probably be able to bring in some competent writers who have worked in the comics and outside of the comics to make the show work, which I think would be pretty cool.
Yes. The thing is that, first of all, is also thinking about this, the one thing I thought about is, technical limitations, I think, would be a problem with the show, just simply because, first of all, I don't think ABC Family would get a good budget. That's why I wish it would go to ABC, so it could get the bigger budget. But ultimately, the thing about it is $3 million an episode enough to do web slinging and a lot of the stuff? Because I don't think the villains necessarily are expensive to do.
It depends on what villain it is.
Well, the one thing that I also was thinking about is that there are things that are better for TV show and better for movies. Mm-hmm. And weirdly enough, DC kind of has it like split oppositely, in my opinion. I think Batman works better on TV, and I think Superman works better in the movies.
Okay.
The reason why I say this is Superman is not very good for episodic. You can't have a villain a day. Superman villains are too epic, too big, for the most part. You can't have him stopping thugs because that's uninteresting. Would you actually watch an hour-long episode where all he's taking out are bank robbers?
It depends on what they're doing with his character in the episode, really. It depends on, like, if he's just beating up thugs the entire episode and nothing else is going on in the show, then no. But if they're doing other stuff trying to get us engaged, then maybe. I mean, I don't know.
But it would be hard. Now, if you flip that to Batman, and you have Batman hunting down the jewel thieves and trying to do that, that's a little bit more interesting. Superman powers don't really work for common criminals as an entire plot line, I don't think.
I suppose so, but I don't know, like, the nature of comics, maybe not now, but going back to when they were at their most popular, when Superman and Batman were created, they were an episodic format, so, and they've made it work before, and I think some of my favorite Superman stories actually are one-shots, like the Superman story Alan Moore did just before the Silver Age Superman ended and John Byrne rebooted it. I forget what the story was called. There was a 2-issue arc collected in the book I have, and then there was a third one that was a one-shot, and I really like that story. So, I mean, it just depends on how well written it is. That's what it comes down to. I think you can make it work either way.
Well, there's one thing I think you kind of misunderstood when I was saying. Basically, also, the one thing I don't think I mentioned is a lot of Superman villains would be expensive to do. And that's another fact. Have you seen Smallville?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Did you see most of it, all of it?
I've seen some of it.
Okay.
Like, first a couple seasons.
Okay, later on when they start to actually use big Superman villains, you know apparently that they don't have the budget to do it. When they use, I don't know, do you know what they did to Doomsday?
Didn't they make him into like a person or something?
Yes, so they could actually have an entire arc with that character.
Okay.
Where you could easily do Doomsday in a movie. It's a little harder making him a season-wide arc.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be expensive to make him a season-wide arc if you do him correctly, because he'd be destroying buildings and you'd having a large set piece to work with. Where Batman, I think, is a little bit lower key, and I think he works better. That's what I was getting at, more or less.
Oh, okay.
You can do episodic or serialized with both of these characters, but with Batman, he's a human. Most of his villains are human. They do have supernatural ties, but they aren't so out there that you can't do it on a smaller scale.
I agree with that to some degree. I
mean, and I also think the one thing that really makes Batman not really thrive in the films is that we can never, like, I mean, they're restricted on the stories they can tell with Batman because we can never get a good story just about the mob. It has to be about a supervillain, or people aren't going to go to the theater. It could be the greatest story about Batman just taking down the mob, but it would not get people in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunate because you could do an entire series where Batman does not take out a single villain in a TV series, and it could be epic. It could be great because Batman is a human and he can take on humans.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, that's true of pretty much every comic book property. I mean, like, I would love to see a Daredevil movie where he's just taking out the mob, or a Spider-Man movie where he's taking on parts of the mob, but they're not going to do that with them either, so, you know.
I think Daredevil is probably a little bit easier to do that with because his villains aren't as high-key as, like, Spider-Man's. Most casual Daredevil fans, or quote-unquote Daredevil fans, probably couldn't quote most of his villains.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing, like, the only ones I know of off the top of my head is Kingpin, Elektra, and Bullseye.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like, if they're going to do this Daredevil reboot movie, we're probably going to have Kingpin or Bullseye in there in some capacity. We're not going to have him just fighting mobsters and fighting the mob. Like, I don't think they'd do that in a movie, like you said, because it wouldn't get people in the theaters. And even with Batman, like, Batman's alone, his name is more of a theater draw than Daredevil is. So.
No, he definitely is. It's
not for me. I'd much definitely rather see a Daredevil movie than Batman. I'm much bigger of a Daredevil fan, but for other people.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that I completely agree with you. And it's the same thing with Spider-Man. A lot of people, like, I actually watched a video a while ago where people were talking about Spider-Man, and they were saying how basically everyone's talking about the Avengers and everyone's talking about Batman and nobody's talking about Spider-Man, and does Spider-Man have a chance? And I think nobody's talking about Spider-Man because you don't need to talk about him. First of all, there's no huge information has come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we haven't got the pictures of Venom, or not Venom, sorry, of
the Lizard.
The Lizard yet. And that people will talk about. That will be in videos. That will be mentioned. The thing about it is we got our trailer. We already know primarily what the movie's about, so people are less talking about it because we don't need updates every day. We don't need to know that Spider-Man has a new costume. It's not relevant to the main thing, and it's done filming. So, and I think they misunderstand that Batman just finished filming. Spider-Man finished filming like months ago.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know about the Avengers, but the Avengers is also more of a, like, we don't know anything about the Avengers. Really, we think we do, but we really don't.
Right, they're keeping us in the dark pretty effectively, which is really hard to do nowadays.
Especially, and a lot of people are actually suggesting that the Batman stuff is actually, they're actually releasing it. Like, the stuff that we get where we see, like, where we actually see filming, they think that the people filming the movie are actually filming the stuff and putting it online. Because we're getting it so rapidly and we're getting it so quickly that it's like, how do these people know that they're doing it?
It must be a grand conspiracy.
Well, movies have done this before where they purposely leak their own stuff.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know.
And they make it look like it's leaked because, and it's a great idea because it gets people talking, and it really gets people talking because I don't think they should be talking about it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just, to me, it doesn't really matter where it came from. It's out there and people are talking about it. I don't know. It doesn't really, it doesn't affect my enjoyment or non-enjoyment of the clips provided if they're filmed by some average Joe or the people doing the movie. I don't really, you know what I mean? Like, that's my perspective on it.
Well, my perspective is a lot of this average Joe stuff ruins movies because You see something out of context, and people bitch out, and some people probably just won't go see the movie because they saw one piece of thing that was completely out of context, and now they think it's completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And and it can hurt films. It really can hurt films, and like I wish we didn't have the internet. I wish I could be surprised about movies. In that regard, I wish I didn't have the ability, because like I've ruined video games and other media because I'm so connected, and because it's so easy to click, and it's so addictive to click, if you get what I mean.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But back onto the Spider-Man TV show. First of all, is you brought up the whole high school thing. And that's the beauty thing about Spider-Man is Spider-Man can be a high school drama, and anybody who bitches that out needs to read comics.
Yeah, the best Spider-Man run of all time is pretty much one elongated coming-of-age story that starts in high school and ends with him in college, pretty much. So if you want to do that kind of soap opera teen drama, finding your place in the world kind of thing, Spider-Man's a perfect property to do it with, because that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. The other thing that I do need to bring up is I'm guessing the reason why we've not seen a Spider-Man TV show, I think in one large thing.
What are you thinking?
Has to be that there has to be some connection to the film rights.
Maybe. I don't know anything about that stuff.
I don't either. I know I know a little bit about the film rights. I don't know if they have any connection to the media rights, but we're getting cartoons, so now that they have this ability to make a TV show, we're hearing about all these other minor characters. Why not more major characters? I mean, yeah, we're getting a Hulk TV show, but I have no faith in that. I honestly don't have any faith in the Hulk TV show, just because they're not going to do his villains.
Yeah, I don't know about the Hulk TV show. I'm a big Hulk fan, and I'm going to wait till the show comes out to kind of give my judgment on it. But I'm
going to watch it. But
what? Yeah.
I'm going to watch it. But it saddens me that these things come out and they can't use the real villains, because like there are characters you can do where the villains, like Daredevil, would make for a great TV show, I think.
Yeah, it definitely would. But something that you brought up before that I just kind of wanted to touch upon,
okay.
where you said how we weren't getting as many main properties and stuff, including Spider-Man. And I don't know how true this is, because I haven't heard anyone else say this, but I was listening to the Word Balloon podcast on iFanboy the other day, and they had an interview with Rob Liefeld. And do you know who Rob Liefeld is? Are you familiar with the guy?
Not off the top of my head.
He was big artist in the 90s. He worked on X-Men stuff for Marvel, and then left the company with all the Image creators, and was one of the people who formed Image. So he was on the Word Balloon podcast, and he was talking about how he was working at Marvel not too long ago, and he wanted to make some new characters in the X-Men comic book universe, and start a whole new series and do a whole big thing for Marvel. And they told him that they didn't want him developing any new characters, because they don't, now that they're owned by Disney and they have their own movie studio, they don't want to be developing intellectual properties for 20th Century Fox. So I don't know how that affects what Marvel is doing with the TV show, if they don't want to promote Spider-Man and other media because of Sony owning the rights to the movies. I don't know. This is what Rob Liefeld says, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there as a possible reason. Like I said, I don't know how true it is.
I'm guessing there probably is some weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because if we're not getting, like, if they're halting our storytelling because of this, like, the one thing that upsets me is Disney has deep pockets,
Mm-hmm.
and I guarantee you, first of all, as I guarantee you, Spider-Man is a high enough property. Spider-Man, I don't know about the X-Men off the top of my head, but Spider-Man is definitely a big enough property where they could throw enough money at it to get it back. And yes, it would cost them a lot of money now, but in the end of the day, it would make them so much more money.
Yeah, I don't really know what the deal with the whole Sony, how much money Marvel gets from the Sony deal, but in that Rob Liefeld interview, he talked about the deals as well that they had with, that the companies had with Marvel, and he said that the X-Men deal was really kind of one-sided in Fox's favor because at that point Marvel was coming out of bankruptcy and they desperately needed something to kickstart them, and the Bryan Singer X-Men film really helped them out. And then they were in a better position once X-Men succeeded to sell the rights to Sony, and they got a better deal from them. So I don't know what the deal with that is, and maybe that's why we're getting a Spider-Man cartoon.
Well, I think the cartoon rights are different.
It is different, but
because we've seen X-Men cartoons.
But what my point is that
okay.
I said before how maybe we're not getting a live-action Spider-Man cartoon. May it be because of the rights or because they don't want to throw anything that might, make people go see Sony's Spider-Man film instead of the Avengers or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
I completely agree with that. But eventually, people are going to have to understand the rights will eventually revert back to Marvel. And actually, bringing up a rant that I heard a while ago, I've talked to you about this, but because this is not just for us, I will bring this up, is something Chatterback did a rant where he was talking about how basically how Sony hates Spider-Man because they're doing a reboot, and he's talking about that they should have done a part 4. And a lot of people don't understand how bad of an idea that would have been. Like, the possibility of that movie being bad was much greater than doing a whole new, than rebooting it.
Yeah.
And also that the second Spider-Man stops making them money, they're gonna drop it like a weight.
Mm-hmm.
But until that happens, they have to make movies. And I don't think people understand this. I think people wish they would just wait to do the reboot. They don't have that option. They don't have that choice. And that sucks, because if this sucks, they might reboot it again.
Yeah.
We might keep getting reboots for the next 10 years.
I have a feeling if this Spider-Man movie doesn't succeed financially or doesn't do well critically, either it has a better chance if it does well financially for Sony to make a sequel, but I think if it doesn't do well financially, then I think they will most likely just not make a movie for a little while and the rights will eventually revert back to Marvel. But I don't know.
If it doesn't do financially, Disney will be in a position to bargain with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was in Disney's position at that time, if it didn't do financially well, I would tell them, okay, here's a little bit of money to cushion your blow because you lost this money, but we want the rights back. So we just don't wait. We get the rights back so we can do what we need to do, because ultimately Disney has deep pockets, and that's one thing I think they eventually need to use. Like, they need to use their money to get these licenses back because it hurts their comics. It hurts comics when bad movies come out.
Yeah.
Now, people say that movies don't affect comic books. It absolutely does. It affects new readers.
Yeah, and the fact that when a movie comes out, the company promotes the crap out of whatever movie's coming out, and we see all the costumes most of the costumes in the comics change to how they look in the movie. It's all a big promotional thing. They're all trying to get people that go see the movie to come in the comic shop and, they're be able to pick up a comic and be like, this is exactly what I saw in the movie, and enjoy it and hopefully be a reader for life. That doesn't happen most of the time, but that's their intent.
Did you ever hear about what happened with the what almost happened basically? Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what kind of happened with the World of Warcraft rights?
No, I didn't hear. What happened?
Uwe Ball actually came up. Do you know who Uwe Ball is?
Yeah, I do.
For anybody who doesn't know, he makes a lot of crappy video game adaptations. He actually came up to them and said, hey, I want to make a World of Warcraft movie. What a fit. And they told him to go to hell in no uncertain terms. I heard that Sam Raimi was up to direct it. And I don't know how much you know about World of Warcraft.
I played it for about 2 years.
Okay. Do you know the story very well?
Kind of. I mean, the lore is not very important to most people who play the game, unfortunately. So,
I became a fan of Warcraft 3, and a lot of what I know is based on that, which that does have a story, and it's actually pretty good. But eventually, initially they were actually going to do the story of Arthas. Do you know the story of Arthas?
Yeah, I'm familiar with that because of the Wrath of the Lich King expansion they did.
Yeah. And apparently, Sam Raimi said in an interview that if he did the movie, he wanted to do all original characters. And I think that the story of Arthas would have been great for a movie.
Personally. Yeah, it might have been. I don't know. I didn't play. I've just heard about the story. I didn't play through it in Warcraft 3. So.
Well, he was a really good character, and what he was trying to do was really good. He was trying to save his people.
Yeah.
Basically, it's what they should have done with Anakin in Episode 2.
Oh boy, that's a whole nother discussion now.
I'm just saying that that's essentially what it was. Like, a best description of it is that it's what everyone said. He's actually a really good person who basically tried to save his people. And like, people were telling him, don't do this, you're going down the wrong path. And he was telling them, no, you're wrong. I'm doing what is necessary.
Sounds like Darth Vader, but what he should have been.
Yes. Actually, a TV show actually made fun of that recently. Chuck actually made a joke on that. Basically, somebody was mad at one of the characters, and he forgot everything that he had remembered. And so he was like, watch this, like he was like, okay, I'm going to watch episode 4 first. Oh, watch episode 1 first. That's the best one. You'll like it. Because he was trying to be an ass to him. And he was like, did I really like this?
Wow.
And then at the very end, he says, he gives him a present. He says, here's the Indiana Jones movies. And he's like, are there 3 more I don't know about? No, there's just 3. So enjoy them. Even though I don't completely agree with that mentality, it's funny. It is funny. Like Blows Himself Up Dude kind of made fun of Chuck, where Chuck is not really a geek show. It's basically common pop culture, and basically anybody who has a basic sense of the stuff can understand the show, and I think that's the reason why they do it. But it is highly based off 007, so if you ever get the chance, you might want to try that show. It pokes fun at 007 all the time.
Oh, cool! I'll have to check it out sometime.
The timing. You know the gag they always use, the ticking clock, that it's gonna go down to 1 and then they're gonna stop it.
Yeah.
Well, they do that in the first episode, but the way they stop it is like they cannot stop this bomb. And Chuck's a computer guy, so he says so basically at the beginning of the episode they had basically said that there's this porn website that's crashing computers.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like going to the website, and like the spies are telling him, "What the hell are you doing? We're about to blow up, and you're searching for porn." And then it fries the computer. It's just funny, and it's campy. It is camp, and you did say you like camp, so
yes,
camp mixed with 007. Sounds like it's your cup of tea, but let's get back to Spider-Man because that's what this talk is about. It's not about Chuck. I don't think.
Yeah. The thing I was thinking about before, and I think we should go back to and talk about a little bit, is how they would do this on a budget, and it's kind of funny considering that Marvel's taking on Hulk, which I don't think you can do comic book Hulk properly on the budget that they're probably going to have. They're probably going to have to do something like you said, with not most of his villains and something more like the TV show that came before, which is kind of unfortunate. I think that's why
they're doing it, is because I think they're doing it just because of the TV show.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate, because as much as I do enjoy the old Hulk TV show for what it is, I understand that, at the time they couldn't possibly portray Hulk on as he is in the comics in any form of film, really, and make it look good, so they took the basic premise of a man turning into a monster and made a show out of it. And I enjoyed the show for what it was, but it's not the Hulk that I have come to love in the comics. And now that we have the technology to do that in film, why aren't we getting that instead of an adaptation that's like this? I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me that they choose Hulk of all things when they could be doing other properties. And Spider-Man would be one that would be even cheaper than Hulk to do and do properly.
Well, the problem with Spider-Man, which I think there is a fix to this, the problem with Spider-Man is the web slinging, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's cheap. But they could do what a lot of TV shows do, and basically spend a lot of money in the pilot to do a lot of web slinging. Basically spend 60% of their budget, a ridiculous number, on web slinging, okay?
Mm-hmm. And
get a lot of different angles and a lot of different perspectives of web slinging, and then use those throughout the show.
I don't know.
No, but use them in various ways. Like, you can digital effects, you can change how a wall looks, you can change how something looks very easily. That's cheap. And you can make it look different. You can put a map painting to make what he's web slinging into look different. So angles and perspectives and all that is a lot harder to do, but those other things could be easy to do to make it, because I'm pretty sure walls of New York don't look drastically different where you cannot where you can't use digital effects to make it look different. I don't know. I've never lived in New York, so I can't tell you if the citizens could tell if that's a different wall or not, but I'm just saying that I think is a solution. Which would have to be done right. It would definitely have to be done right. They couldn't cheap out on that. They would actually have to spend the time to make the locales look different. But I think you could do that. I think that is a happy medium.
You might be able to do it. I don't know. I'd be having flashbacks to the 60s cartoon. Funnily enough, have you ever seen that show?
No, No, I started watching Spider-Man in the 90s cartoon, and I've tried to watch the old ones, and I can't get past how silly they look.
Alright, so I'm like, every time in the 60s show when he swings, it's the same, 5 angles, but with the backgrounds changed. It's like exactly what you described, but in animation. And, I don't know, I feel like that would get really tedious and annoying. If it was the same angle every time, I'd just rather them cut the web sling. Because it would be so obvious of a cop-out.
Angle. I'm saying spend your budget to get a lot of different angles, to get a lot of different walls, to get a lot of different perspectives, so you have 30 or 40 to work with.
But how long is it going to take before those look stale and tired? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yes, but hopefully by then they've done other ones. They've done a couple here and there, so they have a bigger pool to work with. I mean, that's just an initial fix to get a TV show off the ground.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea how much web slinging costs in general. Like, I don't know these things. I'm just saying that I would think that would be expensive. I don't think the villains would be expensive. Like villains like Carnage can be done, but he would only have to be a season finale villain. Like, you'd have to be setting him up to the end of the season and then just show him in the season finale and never show him again. And that's fine to me.
Yeah. It really, I don't know. Do you think they'd be able to do any of the goblins properly on that budget with the glider and everything?
Yet again, less is more.
Yeah.
With Green Goblin, less is more, definitely, because you set him up. You have, you use Norman Osborn. You get ties to that he's becoming the Goblin. And then you have, then what you do is you use, shadow things that Spider-Man's web slinging, and then you see a shadow of, a goblin-looking figure on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically maybe you have an episode in the middle of the season, the fall finale, which they're usually called, which has a little bit more money. You spend your money and you make an episode with that, and then you use him for a season finale. You don't use him a lot. I think that's...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And that's probably how I would want Norman Osborn to be used anyway, so...
Yeah. Also, so their limited budget would actually be a tool to make the show better.
Yeah, I mean...
Because there are some villains... do you know what a bottleneck show is?
No.
It's... Star Trek uses this very commonly, but other shows use this. It's where you basically use your recurring cast, and you use recurring set pieces, and you try to only use that stuff, because it makes the budget much cheaper. Shows don't have to be cheap down, but it makes the cost a lot cheaper. You can still make a big episode with those. So you save money for the episodes that are going to cost a lot, for the episodes that you have something gigantic happening.
I think you could do that with Spider-Man pretty well.
I don't know off the top of my head what you would do, but they would have to do episodes like that with Spider-Man.
Yeah, if you have sets of Midtown High School, those definitely obviously could be reused over and over and over again for the high school scenes. You could use Peter's room and on May's house. If you got far enough along in the show, or if you start with them in college, you could have Peter and Harry's apartment as a recurring set.
I just thought about something. You mentioned the high school. You could have the Shocker breaking into the high school for one episode and only use the high school as the fight scene.
Yeah, you could use pretty much any of the villains breaking into the high school. I mean, the one that I specifically remember breaking into the high school in the comics early on was the Sandman, but I don't know if you'd be able to do him on a TV budget.
I don't know. You could, but how good it would look, I don't know.
Right, exactly.
It's I don't know how much special effects cost. I know what certain shows roughly cost. I know that Stargate Universe costs about $3.5 million an episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it got canceled. Because apparently that's an insane budget. And I know that Sanctuary is a third of that.
Okay.
And that's why it didn't get canceled.
I've never seen the show.
Well, when a show is running on a third of its budget, it's much easier to keep it running because you have to have less viewers.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if you know how TV shows make their money.
Not specifically, no.
It's all with advertisement. It's with commercials. Basically, they go to advertisements and they say, well, we have this many people watching it. Can we use your ad and you give us so much money?
Oh, okay.
The people you get, the better ads you can get. That's why it costs $1 million per ad to advertise during the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have that guaranteed revenue stream. So that's how it works. And Spider-Man would bring in initially a large audience.
Yeah, definitely.
It would have a huge, huge opening. Like I'm watching a couple TV shows that just recently started airing. Terra Nova, a TV show called Grimm, and a TV show called Once Upon a Time. And the one I disliked the most out of those three initially, which I'm starting to warm up to, was Once Upon a Time. But it's getting outrageous viewership. It's getting like 12 million a week.
Wow.
Which is making it where it's on the top 15 every single week, which is good because that means that show is going to stay around.
Yeah.
It's not getting up into the top fives or anything like that, but 10 million can keep a show alive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so I don't feel like I'm wasting my time on that show right now.
Okay, yeah.
Terra Nova, I think I'm wasting my time. I am like, every week, I'm afraid I'm going to hear it got canceled. Every single, and I'm going to be so mad because I'm investing time into this, and I'm so afraid it's going to get canceled. But I'm not going to stop a show because it gets canceled. I'm going to stop watching a show because I don't like it. Yeah, but an initial audience base does help.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man's huge. I mean, the thing with the show too is like what kind of audience you're going to be marketing the show towards? Is this going to be marketed towards? So it's able to be viewed by all ages? Is it just going to be teenagers and up? Like
well, I think their main, like, first of all is you get this a lot in movies that they try to, like, okay, Batman and Robin. I have to bring this up in this, okay?
Okay.
Did you watch Geekvolution's video on that?
The Superhero Rewind review of it?
Yes.
I think I did a while ago. What were you gonna bring up about it?
For people who don't know, Captain Logan on Superhero Rewind does on Geekvolution does a Superhero Rewind where he basically does in-depth reviews and says if a movie works in his opinion and actually gives you explanations of why it does and why it doesn't. Really great reviews, and there's no other reviewer that I would recommend higher than him, but these are not recommendations. These are, if you've not seen a movie, don't watch one of those reviews. They will ruin the movie. But getting back to the thing is that he basically says that it's a toy commercial, so it's being heavily marketed towards kids, but then it does things that don't make sense for kids on any level.
Yeah, like the sexual innuendo and stuff like that.
Yes,